everybody. I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, today, I've got something very special, but also obscure to share with you. To start things off, let's talk about one of the most classical stage musicals ever, Bye Bye Birdie. For those who are unfamiliar with this show, it's a musical comedy about a rock and roll star named Conrad Birdie who is drafted into the army. To boost his manager's failing music company and give his fans one last goodbye, Conrad travels to a small town called Sweet Apple in Ohio, where he's scheduled to give one last kiss to a lucky fan named Kim McAfee on the Ed Sullivan Show. Now, to me, this has got to be one of the most beloved and classical shows from the 1960s, with catchy songs written by Charles Strauss and Lee Adams. And believe me when I say, it's been about 10 years since I got to perform in Bye Bye Birdie with my friends at Musical Theater Village, and that was not long before I joined Vocational Visions. Plus, when it comes to films, mostly everybody knows about the 1963 film version starring Dick Van Dyke and Janet Leigh. And even though it's been a long time since I rented it from Netflix, personally, it wasn't very good due to the ending. But little did I know that during the mid-1990s, there was a TV remake of Bye Bye Birdie, which I found out about several months ago on YouTube. And as you can see, that is the version that I'll be blogging today. But how does it compare to its stage counterpart? And is it an improvement over the 1963 film? Well, let's just see and find out. Released to television on December 3rd, 1995, the movie is Bye Bye Birdie. Now, let's get started. Like its stage version, this is the story of rock and roll teen idol Conrad Birdie, who is drafted into the army. To capitalize on the situation, his manager Albert Peterson hatches a publicity stunt where Birdie will give one last kiss to a fan on national television. The chosen fan is Kim McAfee, a teenager from Sweet Apple, Ohio, and the event throws the town into total chaos. So, what did I think of this? Well, in my eyes, this film really surprised me, and it's instantly a huge step up from its 1963 version. And to further explain what I mean, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, there's not too much trivia that I can find regarding this movie, other than the fact that it was directed by Gene Saks, who sadly passed away from pneumonia 10 years ago, and the screenplay was written by the show's book writer, Michael Stewart. It was filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and it was produced by RHI Entertainment and released by ABC. Also, the TV movie won an Emmy Award in 1996 for Outstanding Music and Lyrics, and it was nominated for Outstanding Musical Direction and Outstanding Hairstyling for a miniseries or a special. Now, as I said earlier, I've never known about this TV version of Bye Bye Birdie before until I found out about it on YouTube last late summer. Also, there was no way I could have known about it back in 1995 due to two reasons. One, my sister and I were very young back then, and two, my family didn't have access to ABC at the time. Also, I kind of get the feeling that Bye Bye Birdie might have been the very first stage musical remade for television during my childhood, before such specials like Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella from 1997, Annie from 1999, The Music Man from 2003, and Once Upon a Mattress in 2005. Anyway, in my eyes, I think the people who made this movie did a fantastic job making it feel like the late 1950s and early 1960s. And I think the costumes are very reminiscent to that old hippie era. Plus, I think the settings in New York City and Sweet Apple, Ohio are absolutely spot on, and I like the stage used for the Ed Sullivan Show. Also to note, I thought the scene at the ice house nearing the end of the movie was a really crazy moment. Also, I think the songs, like its stage predecessor, are some of the most classical tunes that I've ever known about. Some of my favorites include The Telephone Hour, A Normal American Boy, Honestly Sincere, One Last Kiss, and Spanish Rose. Plus, I think the choreography used for several of these songs are absolutely well done. And now, let's move on to the film's cast. Let's start with Conrad Birdie's manager, Albert J. Peterson, played by Jason Alexander, whom was abysmal from both The Return of Jafar and Aladdin the Animated Series, Hugo in the Hunchback of Notre Dame films, Henri/Uncle Horst in Madeline Lost in Paris, Boris from The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, Little Lightning in 101 Dalmatians 2, the Gnome King in the second Tom and Jerry Oz crossover, along with Lionel in the 1997 Cinderella special, and Jacob Marley in the 2004 Christmas Carol movie. Now, for those who don't know, Albert is the central character of the entire story, and not only is he Conrad Birdie's manager, but he's also a poet and a former aspiring English teacher whom was lured into the music business after penning a hit for Conrad Birdie. Plus, in my opinion, Peterson is neurotic, weak, and easily manipulated by his mother. Also, while he's no Dick Van Dyke, I think Jason Alexander gives a very zany and whimsical performance. Next is his secretary and love interest, Rose Alvarez, played by Vanessa Williams, whom was in the Hannah Montana movie and Studio Ghibli's When Marnie Was There. In my eyes, Rose is a fiery, strong, and determined character, and a good foil to Albert Peterson's indecisiveness. During the show, Rose is fed up with the music industry, and she longs for Albert to leave it and become an English teacher again, as he had originally planned. Plus, Rose is also portrayed as a talented dancer, and I think Vanessa Williams is a remarkable singer and dancer. Next we come to the title character, Conrad Birdie, played by Mark Kudish, who not only played Conrad on stage, but he also got to be in Sex and the City. Now, Conrad is a rock and roll superstar who is heavily inspired by Elvis Presley, particularly his 1958 draft into the Army. Before going into said Army, Conrad makes a farewell appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, where he will kiss a randomly selected fan, Kim McAfee. In my opinion, while he does have an implied checkered past and an unpredictable personality, Conrad is also very rebellious, like during the part where he takes Kim and several girls on a hangout date. Also, Mark Kudish's performance as Birdie almost makes me think back to the time when my friend Ryan C. Lee, whom last year voiced in The Tiger's Apprentice, got to play him 10 years ago at Musical Theater Village. Next up is the lucky Kim McAfee, played by Chena Phillips, whom was in Bridesmaids and Danny Phantom. Kim is the president of the Conrad Birdie fan club, who is on the cusp of giving up her fandom when she is chosen to receive her kiss from Conrad Birdie. In my eyes, Kim is not only lucky, but she's also pretty relatable due to her being a teenager and all, and she's also focused on becoming a woman pretty quickly. The last character to talk about is Kim's boyfriend, Hugo Peabody, played by Jason Gaffney. Now, Hugo is known for being jealous of Kim's attention towards Conrad Birdie, and he's portrayed as a typical teenage boy from the 1950s. In the show, he reacts with understandable frustration when Kim is chosen to give Conrad a farewell kiss before he goes into the army, and in my eyes, while he does mean well, I didn't think it was very smart of him to punch Conrad. And now for my final words. Overall, the 1995 Bye Bye Birdie film is a pretty decent TV special, and I find it to be a lot better than the 1963 film version. The cinematography is pretty good, the acting is well done, the songs range from catchy to whimsical to funny to emotional, and the choreography is spot on. Plus, watching this movie really does bring back a lot of fond memories from when I got to perform in Bye Bye Birdie with Musical Theater Village 10 years ago. And believe me, this is a movie that I would place in the underrated category, and it's one that I highly recommend for those who are fans of the show or musicals in general. As for my rating, I'll give it a 95% out of 100. Well, that's all for now, folks. Be sure to join me next time because we're going back to the Outback. Mustang power.